Hi guys, my name is Joe, and welcome to my channel, Fighting Words, the Martial Arts Library. On this channel, I review martial arts books and talk about other martial arts related subjects. This is a segment I call Media Fight Monday. On the first and third Monday of every month, I pick a fight scene from movie, TV, animation, and I break it down, I do a play-by-play, and I then grade it based on realism as well as storytelling value. What we are about to see can barely be called a fight. This is a massacre. This is a beatdown. This is a scene from Enter the Dragon from 1973, and this features Bolo Young playing Bolo. So, a bit of backstory on the actors. Usually, I find a pair of actors for these, and I try to give some information on each of them. I can give you the information on Bolo Young. IMDb was about as helpful as they could be, but I still don't know who the four guys he beats up in this scene are. So, Mr. Young, real name Young Tse, grew up in Hong Kong, and he studied several styles of Kung Fu when he was young. I wasn't really able to get a whole lot of information on like the specifics, but then he went into bodybuilding, and you can tell because he's just huge, right? So these days, as an aside, Tai Chi Chuan or Tai Chi Quan happens to be his preferred martial art. Because his character was called Bolo, he either adopted the name or sort of got saddled with it. And since then, he's gone on to appear in other martial arts movies a lot through the 80s and 90s, usually as the bad guy. He has been in fight scenes against Jean-Claude Van Damme in at least 2 movies, and he was also in the Cynthia Rothrock movie Tiger Claws. For Enter the Dragon, there is no fight choreographer listed, but there is a fight sequences stager, and it's Bruce Lee. So, apparently he was the one that sort of organized what went on in this fight scene. Let's get into it. Now, before I hit play, I have slowed this down to 70% speed, so it's easier to sort of, keep an eye on what's going on and explain what's happening. So he throws a right hand, gets a back fist, and a body punch. Bolo just chucks him, and I guess that's meant to be a death blow. Stomps on something and he twists his foot. So this guy starts off with a front kick to the body, round kick to the body, no effect. Bolo picks him up, headbutts him, and I keep trying to figure out what that is. Because it looked to me like it was an elbow to maybe the collarbone, but his head is bobbing like he's been hit in the head. Maybe it was meant to be like a knife hand to the neck or a palm strike to the side of the head. It was hard to tell. And that has more to do with the camera placement, I think, than anything. So Bolo's straddling him, grabbing his hair, which is vicious, pulling back, and if I had the sound on, you'd hear a crack right about now. So he jumps Bolo from behind, Bolo backhands him, grabs him, knee to the groin. This is a weird sequence. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I could see it as possibly being another neck break where you surround the head, grab the chin, and then pull away really fast, because it did look like that's what he was doing, was pulling off to the side. But then the guy spun in the opposite direction. So I don't know if that was just poor execution or if it was meant to be something else. But anyway, yeah, that's guy number 3 down. So guy number 4 takes off, and his own co-workers shove him back into the fray. It's kind of cold. Swings, blocks, that looks like a backhand. And this is the weirdest. Bolo cradles him like he's a baby. And the guy's face is straining, and he's pushing off on his chest, and his eyes just sort of roll into the back of his head. And he did. I don't know what that was. I've actually watched this several times. It could have conceivably been, there's a collar choke where you reach around the guy's neck, grab the opposite collar, and you can affect a blood choke or jugulation, however you want to call it. He's not doing that. It's obvious that he's not doing that. If he's just trying to like fold him in half, he's down by the knee. So I mean, that's gonna like strain the guy's hamstrings in his lower back. That's not gonna kill a dude. So I think what they're trying to show is that he's just like chest flying this guy to death and just, crushing him like a Coke can. I guess. That's my best guess for that. So, how do we grade this? The basic strikes and kicks and stuff, those were realistic. More or less to an extent. They're still like freezing in place when he's hitting the body punch and stuff like that. He tossed the dude over his head. That wasn't any particular type of throw. That was, I'm bigger than you. Hooah. The thing is, the focus of these scenes is the death blows. In the first one, he stomps on something and twists his heel. I don't know what that was supposed to be. If it was the neck, I don't know, maybe. If it was meant to, like, crush the skull or something, I have my doubts. I think because we can't see anything, it's allowing us to infer, and between his, like, vicious grimace and the sound effects, you can sort of buy that maybe somebody's died there, but again, it's hard for me to figure out how that is happening. Like what the medical examiner would call the cause of death. The second guy, I think, is much more realistic. If you pin the guy's torso down and then try to make his forehead touch the center of his spine, I think there's a really good chance that'll cause cervical damage. If I were to take away from anything on that, he's grabbing his hair, and I think you're probably going to wind up pulling chunks of hair out before you actually are able to damage the neck that way. But it's sort of a nitpick. The third guy I already discussed, swings his arm one way and the body spins another. I don't know what that was supposed to be, and this is a complete mystery. So because of that, because the parts of the fights that got the most highlight were for the most part not realistic. Again, what is this? What is this? Because of that, I'm going to go D+ for the grade on the realism. It is saved by the fact that a lot of the action up to that point is more realistic. Just the finishes are terrible. As far as storytelling goes, I like it a whole lot more for that. From a storytelling perspective, this is more of a setup. This is setting up the character of Bolo as being virtually indestructible because none of those guys hit him with anything that visibly injured him. And it's also showing that he's just so incredibly powerful that he can just like flex a guy to death. So he's set up, in professional wrestling terms, this would be called a monster heel, like a monster bad guy. Like Kane or Big Van Vader, just this physically insurmountable, intimidating presence. So this sets him up later for his fight with John Saxon's character of Roper. I don't really think they played that up as much as they could. I was pretty unsatisfied with how that fight went, to be honest. That's for another day. As far as the other elements of storytelling in this, I like the fact that, the third and the fourth guy initially decided not to attack him head on. Third guy jumped in from behind, got backhanded for his efforts. Fourth guy tried to run away. He must have known it was futile, but he's, you can see like, okay, there's no way I can beat this dude. Three other dudes have, my friends have tried, and they have failed massively. So, yeah, storytelling-wise, I think I'm going to just go ahead and give it a solid B. I think there were elements where it could have been better, different things could have been emphasized. The fights themselves didn't really tell much of a story. They were pretty cookie cutter. There were some blows exchanged. Bolo gets the better of it, then he breaks her neck. That's pretty much it. They could have been a little bit more creative with that, I think. So, you know, pretty good as far as like getting across what the main message, what they wanted to, other elements of realism, but you know, could have been just a little bit better with a few little things. So that's all I got for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment if you like to, and let me know what other fights you'd like to see. And again, these come out every first and third Monday of the month. So thank you very much, and I'll see you later.